What do you have to say to them women who are very fearful to either take that leap of faith and try something new, or perhaps they are working as a means of survival, yet they want to start this bakery that they've always dreamed of? What do you have to say to them?
It's like the Flashdance song. Take your passion and make it happen.
You need to sing it.
Yeah, I can't sing it. I could sing other songs, but take your passion. I could do aerobics to it. And make it happen. It's such a cliche, but it's so true, and it went through my mind. So as I was in the car doing all the chauffeuring all those years, I have 2 kids, they're now 22 and 16. And, your kids are in your car a lot with you. They are your captive audience. Very often it's the only time they'll listen to you, especially as they get older. But I was really tired of the tripe that I was listening to. And with the exception of NPR, I really felt there was a lot of condescending, frankly, white males telling me what to do. And I thought I could do it better. So here's my story. I read a book called What Should I Do With My Life by Poe Bronson. A friend bought me that book. I read it while I was on vacation in Tahiti. This is true. I had turned 40-ish, whatever I was, 40-ish. Maybe I had turned 45. I'm trying to think when it was, but I was in there, 40, 43, 44. And life is very short.
That it is.
And what should I do with my life is not lesson plans. It's anecdote after anecdote of people that made a right turn in the middle of their life. And what I took away from that was that nothing happens overnight. So what I used to do was panic and feel overwhelmed. How could I get out of law? Law was making me a living, but I hated it. How could I do something else with my life? Where would the time free up? I couldn't make a change that quickly, and I'm not a quick person about change. And so after I read that book, I relaxed, and I said, I'm going to make a little change. Little. I'm going to cut down on my law practice so that I'm not working to support a full-time paralegal, because I felt like if I didn't bring in salary.
Right.
So I had a discussion with my husband. It was a family decision. I cut down enough to support me, but not me and her, which meant I had less time. It took me a full year to be able to carve out 7 weeks of time, which I did during the Christmas time, to go back to the Connecticut School of Broadcasting, where I felt I would meet other people and I would learn, and I would go from a record player to digital editing, because the last time I was on the air in college, I was playing scratching records. And so that's what I did. And I did little step by little step by little step. Then after the Connecticut School of Broadcasting, I was sucked back into law. My clients were waiting for me. And that following August, my husband turned to me and said, "What's happening? I thought you went to law. What's going on?" And I called the local station, and I was lucky, serendipity. Their Saturday morning slot had just become vacant after 3 years. A particular slot had become vacant. They were doing auditions. And I had a vision for what I wanted to do on the air. I wanted to interview and speak to people that I felt were not heard. I actually brought in a Hasidic woman, anonymously, somebody that I had befriended subversively. I used to send her books and things. She wasn't allowed to have any access to anything. But she agreed to do this with me. She called in on the phone. I did a phone interview with her, and she opened us up to a world that nobody knows about. She's a Satmar Chassid, and it was really a powerful interview, and the station said, "Go ahead."
Is that one of your most memorable interviews?
It is, actually. Yeah, it is. It's not about famous people. It's about people that have something interesting to say.
Now, how do you get the people booked on your show?
Well, it's 50-50. A lot of times they seek me and they ask to be on the show, and very often I will ask them to be on the show if I've read a book or article, if there's someone of interest, if they're a great entertainer and they're coming into town and I want to promote the concert. Like Jewel came into town last year, and I interviewed Jewel. That was really fun because she's a remarkable person. She's a remarkable person. She started a foundation all over the world to help people that don't have fresh water to dig their own wells. She's a pretty remarkable human being, and she lived in Alaska with no running water or electricity for most of her life. So it's been fun. It's opened me up to my dream of having an excuse to talk to interesting people.
And where do you see it going?
I see it going, well, right now I'm on the air 6 days a week. I see it going to a longer show. I'm on the air 1 hour from Monday to Friday. The next step, I hope, will be 2 hours. maybe 3, because many of the talk show hosts are 3 hours a day. And then from there is a platform from Fairfield County going regionally to other stations and perhaps nationally. I love radio. When you're in the car, see, I didn't make the point that I started to make. I circled around to it. When you're in the car and you're listening to the radio, it's you and the voice.
Yes.
And you can have an impact. You can get somebody to think.
There's no distractions.
I want to get people to think. That's what I want them to do. I want them to listen to my show.
Mm-hmm.
I want them to learn something they didn't know before they listened to my show. And I want them to think.
Well, having watched and participated in your show tonight, I was in awe.
Really?
I
Thank
think
you.
Your family should be very proud.
Thank you. We're all proud of each other.
Oh, well,
we
that's
are.
nice.
That's true.